I'm super excited because this is a special video we're doing today. But before we get into it, I want to hear from you. Leave me a comment below. What is your biggest takeaway from this series so far? Or if you haven't watched the whole series, what are you struggling with right now? Because I got something that's going to help you in this video. So leave that comment below. Let's talk about it. I've said this before, but it bears repeating. We all go through seasons of life where we feel stuck. It could be weight loss, fitness goals, financial goals, relationship goals, or even healing from trauma or a difficult season of life. But we can all relate to that feeling of being down. And sometimes when we get up, we think that everything is fine, right? Everything's great, let's move on, that's it, it's over. But then other times, and I'm curious if you've ever experienced this, sometimes when we get up from being knocked down, we actually come back stronger than ever. We use that experience, that pain, that struggle, and turn it into fuel. I've definitely had that happen to me in my life a few times. Now I will tell you what happens right before that. Before I turn that corner and I shift from feeling sorry for myself and bitter and angry and resentful, whatever the emotion is, usually a combination of those four. Right before that corner, I used to do one thing, and that was blame. I would blame other people. I would blame circumstances. I would blame the government. I would blame my parents. I would blame my childhood. I would blame my upbringing. I would blame my friends. I would blame my spouse. I would blame my partner. And one day I woke up and I realized that there's a problem with that. The fact that I am blaming someone else or something else outside of myself means that I don't have control. And guess what? If I don't have control, I'm not powerful. I'm powerless. I don't want to be powerless. So I'm super excited because this is a special video we're doing today. Today we're talking about turning struggles into strength. I'm going to share with you a story of how I did it. You may have experienced this as well. I'll share with you a few action steps that you can take to make sure that when you rise up from being knocked down, you rise up stronger than ever. Now I know that we've been talking about bounce back this week, and we've been talking about resilience this week. So when you think of the word resilience, what comes to mind? Let me know in the comments. Resilience. Now add one more word to it. What comes to mind? Resilience? Strong? You see how that works? When you add one more word, it completely changes the definition of the word. That's what we're talking about here. What comes to mind when you think of the word warrior, soldier, a fighter, someone who is resilient, right? Someone who's been knocked down, but they get up every time they get up. They're stronger than the time before. Let's talk about that. There's this beautiful quote that says, "The wound is where the light enters you." And I want to play with that idea for a moment. Where have you been wounded? Where have you been knocked down? Maybe it was with your health. Maybe it was with your finances. Maybe it was with your relationships. Maybe it was with betrayal, abandonment, grief, abuse, neglect, or maybe you were bullied. I don't care what it was, right? The wound is where the light enters you. That wound becomes the place where you grow. The human body, I'm sure you've heard this before, but the human body is capable of healing itself. That's why when you break a bone, you put it in a cast and you let it heal. And once it heals, the bone actually comes back stronger than it was before it was broken. Damn. I'm sure most of us watching have had broken bones. So when you think of a broken bone, what comes to mind? Stronger. The same thing happens with our heart. Our heart can heal. When it gets broken, it can come back stronger. The same thing happens with our minds. When we're triggered and we work through that trigger, we come back stronger, right? More healed, more whole, more complete. That is the process of healing. So when you think of the word warrior, what comes to mind? A soldier, a fighter, someone who's resilient, right? Someone who's been knocked down, but they get up every time they get up. They're stronger than the time before. The wound is where the warrior is born. Think of your scars, not as a reminder of what happened to you, but as a reminder of how strong you are. You survived that? You endured that. You went through that, and you came out the other side. You didn't come out unscathed, but you came out the other side. And that is a testament to your resilience and your strength. And this isn't something that we're taught, okay? This is what no one tells you about rising after you've been knocked down. No one tells you that your scars become your superpower. They don't tell you that your wounds become the catalyst for your growth, for your evolution, for your healing. They don't tell you that because they're too busy telling you things like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's gonna be okay. Just brush it off and move on. Don't even think about it. It's in the past." Stop dwelling in the past. Stop living in the past. But that's not what we're told. If you really want to thrive, If you really want to rise, if you really want to evolve, you have to look at these experiences as the fertile ground where you plant seeds of resilience, seeds of strength, seeds of healing. You see, when we plant seeds in the ground, they sprout, they start growing, start blooming, right? That's what happens when you plant a seed. When you plant an experience, an event, a memory, a wound, you can choose what kind of seed it is. You can choose whether it's going to be a seed of resentment, bitterness, anger, frustration, or you can choose to look at it as a seed of resilience, a seed of strength, a seed of healing. And when you water that seed with the right thoughts, with the right emotions, with the right energy, that seed starts to grow. You see, the world will always have its ups and downs. There will always be things that knock us down. It's just part of the human experience. But we get to decide how we react to it, right? We get to decide how long we stay down. We also get to decide how strong we're going to be when we get up. And this isn't something that we're taught, okay? This is what no one tells you about rising after you've been knocked down. No one tells you that your scars become your superpower. They don't tell you that your wounds become the catalyst for your growth, for your evolution, for your healing. They don't tell you that because they're too busy telling you things like, oh, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. Just brush it off and move on. Don't even think about it. It's in the past. Stop dwelling in the past. Stop living in the past. But that's not what we're told. I'm here to tell you that the past isn't the past until you make it the past. When you water that seed with the right thoughts, with the right emotions, with the right energy, that seed starts to grow. And when you start to embrace your scars, when you start to embrace your wounds, when you start to lean into those difficult experiences, guess what happens? You become stronger. You become more resilient. You become more capable of handling whatever life throws your way. So I want to ask you, what has been your greatest struggle? What has been your greatest pain? And I want you to flip it. I want you to flip it on its head, and I want you to see it as your greatest strength. And I want you to write that down in the comments below. We're in this together. I believe in you. I'm rooting for you. Rise and Thrive isn't just a name. It's a movement. It's a community. It's a way of life. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you found this video helpful. Remember, you can visit our website to get daily motivation. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.